So basically at CBC.
Oh, this is good.
Woman outraged CIBC job application suggests traditional regalia for video and cover letter. And what happened was she's a First Nations person. And for like diversity hiring, essentially, this CIBC, which is a bank, for those of you, I don't know if they have CIBCs here. I think they
have. Yeah, they do have them here.
So people, basically the bank gets these people to be like, how can we be more diverse in our hiring practices? And they hired some bozo to put together this, like, you know.
No, the best part is that it ended up being like, yeah, we hired these indigenous people.
Yeah, exactly. But they hired some, you know, what do you call it? Diversity consultant or whatever, right?
Who happens to be indigenous.
And then essentially this person came together with this plan when you're hiring people to try to be more inclusive to First Nations people. And they said Christine was scrolling through an online job site when she came, and this girl's not happy about it, when she came across a posting looking to recruit indigenous people for customer service jobs at CIBC. It said along the lines, please explain like your favorite tradition or your favorite story. And I was like, huh? That's a little odd thing to be asking. How is a traditional story going to help me excel in like the role of a bank teller? But it's funny because they're saying, hey, we want to specifically hire First Nations people. And then they go, tell us a story about, you know, something First Nations. And she goes, why would being First Nations help me as a bank teller? And you go, yeah, I mean, good question. We were told we have to do this.
Yeah. It's like, it won't, but we're trying not to get in trouble. I don't know if you've been around at all.
Because it sort of does, she's sort of almost like coming to the realization. They're like, hey, we're going to hire people specifically for their race. And you go, tell us something about your race. You go, why would my race be important? And you go, yeah, good fucking question.
We wouldn't be talking to you right now. So it is funny too that like.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not really sure, but we were told to do this. But that's a good point.
Really trying to get in trouble here. So
right?
If you could just kind of just ease off and just go with it. But it's funny because she got so mad because it says, yeah, feel free to write a song, poem, dress in traditional regalia, or, this is the craziest one, bring in backup dancers for a fucking, for your cover
they're trying
letter.
They're trying to make them feel at home. They basically said, hey, if when you do your interview, if you don't mind, just show up with like a drum circle and you're just like, hey, so tell us why you want to work at this bank? And you go, hit it, boys.
But also, what cover letter requires you to have like video production skills?
So this is your cover letter, yeah.
This is just for the cover letter. You're like, I don't know how to edit. How am I supposed to do this? And then
they're trying to think of a different way.
Call up all your friends, be like, hey, I got to do a cover letter for CIBC.
Yeah, would you mind popping
come over
through?
Later.
Well, she also
bring all the regalia.
Bring the regalia and the headdresses. It is funny showing you're sitting in the waiting room holding your headdress.
But the best part,
or just it's like 5 people and everyone's trying to get like the diversity hire, so they're all there from different cultures. There's a guy with like a big novelty-sized Spanish hat. There's a person with their, you know, the native fucking just the headdress. There's a guy in just like straight up like African beads with like the lip thing.
The neck, the long neck, and all that stuff. But like this article is, she probably reads it. She goes, "This is fucked up. Like, why would they do this?" And then the moment he goes, yeah, this is done by a native person, and they go, oh.
So that's what happened. First, they were basically saying, and no one at CIBC, when they're like, hey, in the thing, we should encourage them that if they want to do a jig during the interview.
Yeah, and nobody is even that crazy.
And then, so this girl got all mad about it. She got up in arms. She started posting online, like, the nerve of these people asking me to show up with my, you know, dance troupe or whatever. And then the bank basically responded being like, hey, listen, like, some fucking native people came to us.
Yeah, we hired them.
And told us, we need you to hire more First Nations people. Here's how you do it. And then we did it, and now you're yelling at us like, we can't win with this thing. Which is the moral of the story, is you can't win with this stuff.
Yeah, you definitely cannot win.
You're showing up. They told them they could show up with a backup dancers. This is a bank. Said that you can show up with backup dancers.
Yeah, and call them insensitive too.
You could show up with
so insensitive, and you're like, yeah, we hired your people.
Yeah, and potentially you bring like a live animal in and like kill it and skin it and eat the flesh raw in front of us, you know, to show us a little something about your culture.
Yeah, would you like some seal blubber?
Or the best part is the person who's doing the interview wasn't really involved in the process, so you kind of do it, and the person's like, hey, yeah, and they start fires and they do all this like First Nation stuff, and then at the end of it, the interviewer's like, All right.
Yeah, really, you go above and beyond. I see that.
Yeah, you go. We'll definitely get back to you. You didn't really answer any of my questions, but
yeah, you failed the math proficiency portion.
Gotta be honest. Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. Didn't answer one of my questions, but
but the dance was quite nice.
It's a nice dance. And so the bank's been working with this organization, yeah. And then the CIBC's coming out and they're bending over backwards to be like, we're trying to do our best here. These are people.
A spokesperson from CIBC came out and said, "What do you want from us?"
Yeah, and this isn't in the middle of nowhere either. This is probably
it's like Winnipeg or something.
Yeah, some city. So she said recruiters should ask open-minded questions such as tell us something you're proud of and then leave it up to the applicants to bring their stories about their culture if they choose, which is we're sort of back to the student-teacher thing where it's like, that'd be nice to telling if you go in for a job interview. It's like, I'll tell you what questions to ask. I actually brought a list of questions which I would like to be asked.
That'd be the best. You go and they go, tell us about your culture. And you ever heard of Cheese Dream? Like, as white people, like, you're 8th generation Canadian, you're like, you have no culture. Like, my culture is I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, that's not a culture.
It is.
We don't consider that anything.
No, it is, buddy.
But they don't they're like, I like the Leafs. Is that anything?
Yeah.
And they go, nah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching that clip. If you want to support the podcast, go to patreon.com/the Boyscast, where we have a new episode every week. 5 bones, every week episode. Tons of episodes there now.
5 bones.
5 bones.
5 bones.
Support the boys.
It's $1.25 a week.